It is Tuesday, May 21st, which marks the first day of Jacksonville Jaguars organized team activities, better known as OTAs. They have 10 OTA practices that are all completely voluntary up until the 3-day mandatory minicamp dating from June 11th to June 13th. And upon completion of this mandatory minicamp, the players do not report until late July. When training camp starts, then the season really starts to get underway. So this is our really this is the last grasp of an opportunity to really see our team together post free agency, post draft, and before the whole dead period in the NFL where we get to see these guys out there on the field competing. And it's a really exciting time, and really there are a few different storylines that we can get into. First of all, we have to talk about the attendance. Who's there and who's not there, just because obviously, like I said earlier, the attendance is completely voluntary. Now, a couple players that are not there are Jalen Ramsey and Telvin Smith. I'm not going to go too much into this. As we all know, Jalen Ramsey never really reports to voluntary offseason stuff, as he always works out with his dad in Nashville, and he always comes back in all-pro, Pro Bowl shape, so we're not too worried about that. And also, Telvin Smith is obviously not there. He announced on Instagram that he's going to sit out the 2019 season. So we will continue to monitor that to see if there's any change in that. But for now, we're going to go forward with him not on the team. And another guy that is not there currently is Dede Westbrook. He's going to be reporting back tomorrow. He is in communication with the team. Keyword communication, a word that we have not heard much lately, but he has been communicating with the team, letting them know that he is going to be back tomorrow. And another guy that is there is Yannick Ngakoue. He kind of raised some eyebrows toward the end of the phase 2 of the voluntary offseason stuff, as he showed up, then he left. He stopped showing up, so we were all wondering, is he trying to preserve himself for a new contract? Is he going to not go to any of the voluntary stuff so he doesn't pull an Isaiah Crowell and all of a sudden tear an ACL or something like that, potentially ruining a chance that he has at getting that fresh, new, high-money contract? But he is there. He is focused. He wants to be great. He wants to be a captain on the team. So everything you want to hear from Yannick Ngakoue, he's out there saying it. And last of all, we got some players coming back from injury that were there but did not practice, which included Cam Robinson, who tore his ACL in Week 2 against the Patriots in 2018. We also have Marquise Lee, who just messed his knee up completely in the preseason against the Falcons when KZ went right toward the knee. And we also have linebacker Jake Ryan, a free agent signing from the Green Bay Packers, who is in there. And he's also recovering from a torn ACL, which he tore in the preseason. So with these guys being out, the good thing about these guys is that they suffer their season-ending injuries very, very early. The latest injury was in Week 2. Other than that, everyone was doing it in preseason training camp. So we're going to be able to have them available earlier, because I don't know if you guys remember, I believe it was 2015 when Senderick Marks tore his ACL in the final week of the regular season. He was our MVP that season, and then the next year he didn't come back till about halfway through the season. He probably rushed it a little bit. Didn't have a very good season. Honestly, his career was never the same. So all these guys sustained injuries early on, so they're going to be available sooner for us. And the next thing I want to touch on is the receiving game. You know, with these OTAs, like I said, it's non-contact, so it's not huge for offensive linemen. You know, they're more worried about footwork, technique type of things. Also, defensive line, they're also doing the same thing. Running backs, they're not breaking tackles or anything. But, you know, all eyes are going to be on the receiving game. And we got a new quarterback, Nick Foles, who signed a major contract. It's obviously the biggest contract in Jaguars history, but it's not some of these contracts that have been given to some of these other quarterbacks in years past. But we got him on a pretty hefty deal, and he's going to be hopefully the savior of the franchise. You know, he's been around the NFL for a while, but he seems like he's coming into really the prime of his career. He's got himself figured out with how to prepare himself for games and how to play at the top of his level. Obviously, a couple years ago, coming off of a Super Bowl MVP type of season. So Nick Foles is back in there. We saw a pretty cool video of him throwing a spiral out to Chris Conley, a former teammate of his when he was on the Chiefs. So that's going to be exciting. And it's going to be an exciting preseason because we're going to be able to watch guys like Nick Foles go in at quarterback. Then when Nick Foles leaves, we're going to be able to see Gardner Minshew come in there. So it's going to be exciting preseason, guys. And on top of the receiving game, we'd like to see who is he throwing to the most? Who is he really feeling the biggest vibe with? Is it going to be a guy like Chris Conley, who I just mentioned, a guy that he's been a former teammate with, a guy that the guy that Nick Foles actually wanted the Jaguars to sign, and that's a big reason why Chris Conley's on a team is because of Nick Foles. You also have a guy like D.D. Westbrook, who was the most productive wide receiver on the Jaguars last year, and he seems to only really have a really high ceiling. So could he be throwing to him a lot? What about DJ Chark, a guy that was a little bit injured his rookie year, but he's got all the physical tools you want. 6'4", 200 pounds, lightning fast speed. So is he liking a guy like DJ Chark? Or maybe he goes to the tight end. What about our new toy, Josh Oliver, who we drafted with the 69th pick of the 2019 draft? Is he going to go throw to him? You never know, but it'll be fascinating to see really who he feels that connection with in the receiving game. A third thing we like to look at is the linebacker core. Now, it really sucks that Jake Ryan is injured because I would have loved to see where he's going to be lining up. He could be starting at strong side linebacker, or maybe he's backing up Miles at the middle linebacker spot. You never know. But also, there was some speculation about where's Miles Jack going to play linebacker. He recently said that he kind of shot down all potential talks of him maybe moving to weak side linebacker. He said pretty emphatically that no, I'm the Mike linebacker. I've been getting trained, and I've been getting trained a lot to be able to play the middle linebacker spot, and that's my position going forward. So he kind of shut down all that kind of talk. So what's going to happen at the weak side linebacker? It's most likely going to be Quincy Williams. The Jaguars drafted him with a hope that he is really not even with a hope, with an expectation that he's going to be able to be a starter. So I'd imagine they're going to probably throw him in there pretty early in the season. And it's going to be an interesting transition because most of the time the Jaguars, they usually like to draft guys out of SEC schools or other high-end Power 5 schools like FSU or Oklahoma. But obviously this guy is from Murray State, so it's going to be a big jump in competition for him. So we're going to definitely monitor to see what happens with the linebacker core. Now, another thing to look at is the right tackle spot. Who is going to be getting the first snaps at right tackle? Obviously, Jeremy Parnell, who started for the Jaguars pretty much ever since the 2015 season, he's no longer on the team. So we've got really a mix of 4 guys that's going to be out there. Obviously, you guys all know we drafted Jawan Taylor in the second round of the 2019 draft. We traded up to get him, and he's going to be a favorite to really land that spot. But I don't think they're going to give that to him immediately. I think they're going to make him work for it. So I don't think he's going to get day one snaps at that spot to start the OTAs and training camp. But, is it going to be a Will Richardson, who he drafted in the 4th round of the 2018 draft, who really didn't see any snaps last year, but they liked his potential? Could it be Cedric Ogbuehi, who was a former first-round pick for the Bengals, who signed a 1-year veterans minimum deal for the Jaguars? Is it going to potentially be a Josh Wells, who was a swing tackle type of guy for the Jaguars in years past? You never know, and it'll be really interesting to see really who gets the day one snaps at that spot in OTAs. And the last thing I want to talk about is Josh Allen. Now, obviously, he's going to be a pass rushing defensive end. Dave Caldwell said that they want him to play Dante Fowler's role when he comes in there on passing type of situations, third down situations, to go try to get pressures on the quarterback. But there's also talk about whether or not he's going to get some snaps at linebacker, more specifically strong side linebacker. I mean, he has a linebacker's number, so he's on the roster as a defensive end / linebacker. But, I have more of the mindset that I would rather him just stick a defensive end, master that position, and then maybe later on we can go cross-train him at the strong side linebacker spot. But, we'll see with Josh Allen, but I'm really excited about him. Looks like a beast. But yeah, those are kind of my 5 things to look at when it comes to the Jaguars and OTAs. There's a big question about, how important really are these OTAs? I generally think that they are somewhat important. I mean, I think the most important thing for these guys really is a couple things. First of all, getting together with your team. You're only going to have so many so much time around your team, and really right now is kind of a low level type of demands out of the coaching staff and stuff like that. But really, once training camp starts, it's going to be hell. It's going to be hot. Coach is going to be demanding a lot from these players, and this is going to be a time where they can go out there, they can get a feel for their teammates, and most importantly, I think it's a good time for the guys to figure out what they need to work on. They're going to be working on a lot of technique type of stuff. So maybe if you're a right tackle, your pass protection drop step isn't where it needs to be. Maybe if you're a defensive end, you got to work on your swim move or batting some of the hands away. Maybe if you're a linebacker, you got to work on sitting down there in zone coverage and watching a different spot. There's so many different things to work on. So, I like OTAs. It's definitely, I think, a semi-important thing. Like, how much is it going to help you in the playoffs? I don't know, but I think it's a valuable time right now, just because you don't get as much practice time with your team as you did before this new CBA was signed. So, that's kind of my thoughts about the start of OTAs. Let me know what you guys think. What are you guys most excited about when it comes to these OTAs? And thank you guys all so much for watching the video. Please do me a favor and drop a like. I'm about to hit 1 million views. After this video, I'm going to hit 1 million total views for the channel. So huge benchmark for me. That's absolutely awesome, and I really thank you guys for getting me there. So thanks you guys all for watching. Like the video, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.